Welcome to New Tracks Modeling. New Tracks provides unique mentoring opportunities to enhance your modeling skills by connecting with talented modelers and manufacturers from around the globe who generously share their knowledge and artistic expertise. Build your confidence, refine modeling techniques, and share your projects with a supportive community of fellow modelers, all while enjoying the world's most rewarding hobby. Join us every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern on Zoom and YouTube for our free live program. Missed a program? No problem. Individual show segments are uploaded to YouTube for convenient on-demand viewing. Be sure to connect with the New Tracks community by joining the New Tracks Facebook page, where you can interact with other modelers and see what they are modeling. Visit our website at www.newtracksmodeling.com, where you'll find information about upcoming events and the latest issue of our magazine, New Tracks Modeler. New Tracks Modeler features articles from builds on the show, exciting new products, and other great articles. And now, here is the host of New Tracks Modeling, Tom Farrell.
Good evening, and welcome to New Tracks Modeling, streaming live on Zoom and YouTube, just as we do every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. We're glad you're here. Whether you're a seasoned modeler, new to the hobby, or enjoy the creativity and camaraderie of the model railroading community, we welcome you. This broadcast, along with our 5 other platforms, which include the program you're watching live now, our New Tracks website, our Facebook page, our New Tracks Mentoring Scholarship Program, and our New Tracks Modeler Digital Magazine, as part of a broader vision created by Jim Kello, MMR and NTM, acronyms for the Master Model Railroader at the NMRA and the New Tracks Mentor. All platforms are offered free of charge and are supported by a dedicated team of volunteers who are passionate about model railroading. Before we board our first-class train tonight, I want to sincerely thank Brennan's Model Railroading for sponsoring this evening's program.
Tonight's New Tracks Modeling Meetup is sponsored by Brennan's Model Railroading. For over 25 years, Brennan's Model Railroading has been offering unique products focused on the Scael market. Their flagship product, Brennan's Better Ballast, was an instant hit and continues to be the industry leader. The prototypical size and natural color blend of real crushed granite make it the choice for discerning modelers. Since then, Brennan's has developed a complementary line of natural ground cover materials. Brennan's also has craftsman kits that anyone can build. The complete photographically illustrated instructions assume you've never done this before, and explain in step-by-step detail how to create an outstanding model. The Frank Ellison Tribute series of kits are amazing additions to any layout. These kits take Frank Ellison's scratch-built iconic structures to a new level using modern methods and materials with Dennis Brennan's additional details and amazing instructions. See the complete line of products on the Brennan's Model Railroading website. Use the QR code to visit.
Of course, I want to thank Brennan's Model Railroading for sponsoring the show. Without the sponsor, we wouldn't have a show. I was originally going to feature building of one of his latest kits, the Garfield Substation. Instead, I'm going to substitute that, as you'll see with the program tonight, a little tribute to Judy. So before we do that, let me show you what's on this evening's show. Tonight, we're pleased to have yet another scholarship winner, Brock Durham. Our executive chairman, Bob Davidson, will be interviewing Brock, and he's one of the 4 awardees this year. We've also got a master model railroader, David Vaughn. He's going to give a weathering tutorial. Pleased to have him. He's from Scael Central and a longtime model railroader, very well known in the industry. And then we have our very own David Malott, kit bashing an ON30 locomotive. And then, as I mentioned, a tribute again, it's been the 1 year anniversary of Judy, the John Allen of the ON30 world. And then we've got a very interesting caboose this evening from the series that Phil took at the recent NMRA conference in Michigan. And then, of course, our closing. Okay, so next, I'd like to feature the video for our scholarship program, and then we'll jump right into Bob Davidson and Brock Durham.
The New Tracks Modeling Mentoring Scholarship is the only national scholarship for model railroaders from a volunteer nonprofit organization. For academic year 2025-26, we are awarding 4 $2,000 scholarships for model railroaders pursuing a STEAM degree. We hope to award a similar number of scholarships for the 2026-27 academic year. We believe it is critical to support the next generation of model railroaders. You can support the New Tracks Modeling Mentoring Scholarship by donating online using the Zephy platform or directly by check. All donations are tax deductible.
So now I'd like to introduce Bob Davidson. He's the executive chairman of the scholarship program, and he will be interviewing Brock Durham, one of our awardees this year. And Bob, welcome to the show, and really nice work that you're doing, and why don't you take it from here?
Thank you, Tom. I just want a brief comment before we bring Brock on. As the video said, we are now well into planning for the 2026-27 academic year, and now's the time that we need your help. Beginning August and right through the end of the year, that's our fundraising period. So please, go to the website, click on the donate tab, scan the QR code if you're looking on the YouTube to take you to the Zephy platform. Just a reminder that there are no fees taken out of your deductions or out of your donations when you use Zephy, or certainly if you send in a check. You can also make a gift in honor of or in memory of someone. So please take advantage of that. $5, $10, $25, whatever it is, all the money goes right to the scholarship program. And if you've been following these interviews, this is our third. These are remarkable young people who are committed to staying in the model railroading hobby, and we need these folks. And we've already seen that the scholarship is a great way to encourage them to stay active in their modeling endeavors. So please consider making a donation. So thanks. So without further ado, I'd like to bring on Brock Durham. There he is. How are you, Brock?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Good, thanks. Brock is a second-time awardee of the scholarship program. He received a $2,000 award last year as well. Brock is going to be a senior at the Citadel, and there are some just remarkable stories and things that he's done already as a young modeler. So we'll get into that in a second. But Brock, why don't you tell folks about your field of study at the Citadel and what you plan on doing after next year when you graduate?
So I'm going into my senior year at the Citadel, and I'm studying civil engineering. So my joke is a lot with my classmates that I love dirt. So I want to either get into some kind of geotechnical service with engineering or consulting. So I'll be testing construction materials and getting out on the job site.
Fantastic. Well, good luck to you. One of the things that I started referring to this class as the Thomas the Tank Engine group of modelers. Why don't you just remind us all how you got into model railroading and how it's taken you to where you are now?
So my parents, when I was real little, like a toddler, they got us the classic wooden Thomas and Friends. So then we just started messing around with that. I did actually find my original Thomas, so I actually still have that. But from there, my grandparents, they bought me a Lionel, and it just got out of control from there, just getting really into O scale. And I tried to dabble a little bit in HO and large scale, but my favorite is still O scale.
That's fantastic. That's it. Now you finally got your own, you took over a bedroom upstairs to have a layout of your own?
I did at one point. So we did an addition to our upstairs, and I built a little snowy layout. It was a nice little Christmas village, and I used baking soda as my snow. And I was only 15 or 14 at the time, so I was still trying to figure it out. But it did end up looking pretty okay. So.
I bet. I bet. Now, speaking of that, one of the things that really impressed us in your essay and in your resume was the work that you've done with the Hospice Christmas program. Could you please tell us a little bit about that?
So every year in Beaufort, there is a program where they get the Christmas trees and they decorate it with donations, and it looks very pretty. So they said they wanted to have a centerpiece of a model turntable. And one of the main committee members said, "Hey, I know this guy." And I was the guy that they called. So for 2 years, I did train tables for them, and it was, another nice little Christmas village. So I did that for 2 years.
That's fantastic. What a nice way to give back to your community. Um, Now you're no stranger to scratch building.
Nope.
Not only well, we'll get to the live steam in a minute, but why don't you tell us about some of the projects that you've done in terms of your scratch building?
So one of my favorite ones that I've done, and I did this past year, was the overseas railroad that went to Key West that was built in 1912. There was the Florida East Coast line, and you look online, you try to find any kind of steam engines, and there's not really anything for O scale. So I was like, dang, I'm just gonna build my own. So I bought the most similar engine, a 462, and from there it was a K line, so I just kept on modifying it and adding sound stuff to it. So eventually I built the 153 Florida East Coast, which was a beautiful engine. It took a little bit of time to do, but that was one of my big scratches. Another thing I built was an O scale turntable. The problem is they're so expensive with a lot of stuff in this hobby, and I'm in college, I don't have that much money. So I said, fine, I'll build it myself. So I got some random motors, I got a little control system, random plywood that I found, fast track, and I managed to build it for around $200. So it works. I can use a little remote to turn it however I want. I can turn on and off each individual terminal, so I can have it lay out conventional if I truly wanted to. So it's just one of those things that it is pretty neat to see.
Absolutely. And tell us a little bit about Back to the Future, because I
Yeah,
love
I
that
did.
model.
I had a very big Back to the Future phase where I was just obsessed with time travel. And in the third movie, there is a scene where the DeLorean cannot get up to 88 miles per hour. So in 1885, the only way to do that is a steam engine. So I managed to also scratch build the Central Pacific 131 that was in the movie, and I bought a little DeLorean that also would fit right on the tracks, but I made that one as around 15 or so.
That's wonderful. Yeah, that's a great model. Um, and one of the things that I'll be honest, we've only seen from you was your live Steam project. So tell us a little about that.
After my freshman year in college, I was walking around downtown with one of my buddies, and we went into a store that was just, selling random stuff. And he said, "Hey, look at that wooden steam engine under the table." And I walked up to him like, "That doesn't look wooden." And I realized, holy crap, this is a live steam engine. And it's around 7 feet long. And I was just like, I have to have this. So I kept on bartering with the dude and pestering him, and I got it for around $400. So it was a steal. And ever since then, I've been working on it. but it's old, so I mean, it's been taking a lot of time to get it up and running, and finally, recently, the wheels are starting to turn on their own. It's finally starting to come together.
Well, that's it. Hang in there. None of us have completed projects overnight, so that's great. That's great. So one of the things we've been asking our awardees is, your opinion of the state of modeling of the industry. What are you most excited about? What do you think the industry as a whole can do better to attract younger modelers to it? What keeps you involved in modeling?
I mean, definitely when people are younger, I mean, you heard the Thomas and Friends. The young kids get latched onto that and they love it. Lots of young kids, when they're in their ages 4 to 6, they absolutely love trains. But then they eventually mature out of it. But think about Legos. Some adults grow up playing Legos and they still play with Legos. So it's just one big thing is keeping it fascinating for younger people. And one option is there is a video game called Rolling Line that I actually recently discovered. And you can make your whole model train layout on there, and it looks pretty good. And for someone that has a lot of restricted space, it works great because then I get to make a layout how I desire, and it just fits all within my computer. But also, the prices on some of the things can be extreme. So someone that doesn't have too much, financial backing or a club to go to won't be able to make train tables and such. So
Right, right. Now, are you still involved with any clubs, either at the school or locally?
recently, at the Citadel, they have different, kinds of engineering clubs, and one of them they were bringing back was the transportation club. And my teacher was asking for volunteers, and I kind of got voluntold to do it because she knew my love for trains. So now I am the transportation club president. So
Well, congratulations. Tom, do you have anything you want to add with Brock?
I just want to say how fascinated or how pleased I am that you're a scratch builder, and so you're keeping that art alive. I'm personally a big scratch builder, and everything you make when you scratch build it. I mean, at this point in your life, it may be cost driven, but later in life, it turns into not so much a cost issue as a uniqueness when you scratch build, because you're building one-offs and one of a kind, and truly, you're using your imagination. And civil engineering is a good field. I personally hired numerous civil engineers as being in the mining industry, and that's one little aspect of that, and construction and materials that I was involved with. So that's a solid field. And do you think your number one priority when you get your first job is to get that railroad going, right?
I'm gonna try to.
Yeah, well, that's great. And yeah, I think I mean, you really covered great interview, Bob, and great answers, Brock.
Brock, what was the name of that program, that simulation program?
It's called Rolling Line.
Rolling Line. Very good. Thanks for the reference there. Well, again, congratulations to you as a two-time winner. We are so proud of you and the work that you're doing, not only in railroading, but just academically. And it's been an absolute pleasure seeing you progress through the last couple of years. And best of luck to you in the future.
Well, I appreciate it.
Great.
And don't feel as though you can't come on the show and share something about that steam locomotive.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're part of the family now.
That would be fascinating to see,
Yeah.
just to see it and to see what you did about it.
Yeah.
How you restored it, basically.
So that's next week we will have the fourth recipient, Mateo Cuo. I unfortunately will be out of town doing an install, but Hank Primus, who is on the committee and soon to be chairman of the committee, will be doing that interview next Wednesday. So tune in again. If you missed any of this, you want to see some of the other recipients, check in on YouTube at the segments. It's always the first segment of the program. And again, thanks to all of our sponsors and the individuals that have made this scholarship such a success. So thank you, Tom. Back to you.
Thank you, Bob. Great job. I want to encourage everyone to make that donation. $10 or $20 makes a difference. Each one of these shows, as I had said before, we get about 300 to 500 views. If everyone made a $10 to $20 donation, I mean, that would cover 1 or 2 scholarships. And that's not going to hurt anybody, but will perpetuate the hobby that we have a passion for. Anyway, so next up is David Vaughn, he's a master model railroader. He's going to give us a little segment on tutorial on weathering. But before we have David on, I'd like to run the My Build video and then have a few words from Chris Corse, who runs that segment for us. So if we could.
Don't miss the monthly New Tracks Modeling My Build event. My Build is where the modelers of New Tracks show what they have been building. See amazing modeling with some My Builds featuring specific topics for modeling. If you would like to have your models included in the My Build, please email your modeling photos to Chris Corse at railrunner130@hotmail.com. If you are a first-time My Build participant, please include a photo of yourself.
I'm told that we don't have David Vaughn on here yet. So we should jump right to Chris Corse here first, and then we'll see what happens.
Oh, thanks, Tom. All right, let's see. Upcoming My Builds. August 20th is anything goes. Please submit your deadline by August 17th. So please, whatever you're working on, please share that with us. September 24th is a challenge show. I actually already have one entrant, so the more the merrier. Bring them on. So the challenge show in September is backdrops. The submission deadline for that one is September 21st. And as with anything, whatever you're working on, just don't worry about matching the challenge. If you have something that can meet that challenge, that's great. If not, don't worry about it. But the point is to get more people involved, and especially if you haven't been involved before, please send a photo of yourself and a brief description along with that. That way we can get you on the show.
Tell us a little about what it means as a challenge show. What exactly? Elaborate a little on that for us.
Really, it's not really a challenge. It's more of a kind of a theme show. If you have something that fits in there, that's great. I know one of the things I've been considering, because you guys chose backdrops, that may not be that's a pretty narrow field. So maybe if we widen it up a little bit and say layouts, if we add layouts into that too, perhaps we can get some more people interested and kind of broaden that up a little bit. But if you don't have anything that matches that, but you want to contribute, please do. Just the important part is that you're contributing and showing off your work.
Very good. And thank you for running one of the most popular segments of the whole program, the My Build. And as I say every week, if you are uncomfortable with doing a full-blown segment on your own, start off by sending Chris photographs of a project, or in this case, your layout or your backdrop. And with a simple narration, you're live on the show. If you're even uncomfortable with that, send a text field and Chris will be happy to feature your photographs and your theme. Okay, well, thank you, Chris. And next up, if we don't have David Vaughn, I'd like to jump to another David Malloy. I'm never going to say it right. How do you say your last name?
3 times and you're out.
Yeah.
Malott.
Malott. Okay. So David has a presentation on kit bashing an ON30 locomotive, and he's been at it a while. And Phil is going to run his PowerPoint. You need to say the magic words. Next slide, and we're in business. So Phil, if you could run that.
Okay, so yeah, bring up the first slide there. So I started out in G-Scael 1/24. Developed an interest in doing logging stuff. Created quite a library on books. So the first slide will. This is one of the East railroads. I have West and East railroads. And this is a narrow gauge out of South Carolina that ran into swamps. Very interesting, seat of the pants type railroad. Very small, unusual engines that they ran. Lincoln pin couplers to the bloody end, which was in 1958. No brakes on anything except the locomotives. So next slide. So we evidently skipped one there. So there was another book there that I had shown that was South Carolina, or Logging Railroads of South Carolina, which also shows a lot of very unusual type of engines and great stuff for inspiration in logging. So this is the engine that I modeled. This is Argent Lumber Company. It's a Prairie 2662, very unusual for narrow gauge. So, and then I got an interest. Bachmann came out with their own 30 stuff, and that really piqued my interest in doing that stuff. So right there with the yellow, showing the yellow engine. So this is where I mocked it up. The next, right there. The next, that is the where I mocked it up using a mogul. The wheels were too big. I just couldn't quite get it the way I wanted. So the next slide. This shows where I had a gear stack to power this. I was not going to use the Bachmann stuff. Next slide. This is an HO driver set that I was going to try to use with the gear stack. Next slide. And I took the tender off the mogul and I cut it, shortened it down, glued it back together. Next slide. The tender itself had a wood frame. So these are the pieces for the wood frame. You can see there's double-sided tape that is stuck down to the surface there right in front. So I laid out all the deck trim there and then glued the frame to it. Took a couple brass pieces just to reinforce it. You can see in the corners there. Next slide. So this is what it looked like together, where I sanded down I actually used epoxy to glue the two halves of the tender together, and I filed them and sanded them down smooth. So next slide. This shows where I have painted it. You see how nicely that came out. Next slide. So I kind of, in going through the book of South Carolina logging railroads, I found a 240, and I had bought a Forney, a Bachmann Forney, So I immediately tore it apart, and so kind of inspired in a new direction. Next slide. Next slide. Hello. Next slide. Are we there? I don't know what's going on.
Tom, are you froze up?
What's that?
Should
What's
be
going
going to the
on?
next
Bill.
slide.
Go to the next slide.
Oh, I'm
There
sorry.
we go.
There we go.
So there's the pictures of a 240 in the background of one of the logging railroads in South Carolina. And so this was my inspiration for this. And at this stage, it's just kind of a mock-up. I use the Forney cab and have it spaced up just to get a look at this. Next slide. So I took the sound system. It had a sound system in it. I took the sound system out, had a motherboard and a soundboard in it, and was figuring out how I could squeeze it into this little tender. Cut out the speaker mounting and cut out the bottom of the tender to mount the speaker in the bottom of it. Next slide. So this shows where I mounted the speaker. Next slide. I got a set of trucks, and I'm not sure. These might be Teachy, but they're I believe Caboose trucks where you could have a lighted caboose and you can see the pickups on the axles of the tender there. Next slide. So this is what it looks like with the boards mounted and the speaker in it. Next slide. So this is where I started working on the cab itself. I bought a this is a Mountain Blue cab, which was for a Forney, and I redid the running boards on it, raised them up and made them where they didn't have a step, where it was just straight back to the cab, and mounted the air pump. Next slide. So, and this is where I started doing all the plumbing on it. You can see the lines from the airline, the injectors, the cooling lines as they went down to the tank, the air tank itself. Next slide. This shows again some more detail of this with the tender being hooked up. So at this point, I actually had it running. I'm not sure if this is the last slide. So I actually had this running. And I screwed up. I didn't get the wires insulated. I was test running it and burned out the whole DC system. I was pretty disgusted at that point and threw it in a plastic container. This was in 2010. Life took some drastic turns from that point. Moved a couple times, changed professions, closed a business, blah, blah, blah. So I finally dragged it out last year in 2003 and had another Forney. So that's when I started all over again, building the engine that I really originally wanted. So that's going to be next week's show. So,
Oh, David,
David, I have a question for you.
sure.
It's Steve Sherrill.
Yeah.
When you were looking at doing the 262 from Argent Lumber Company, did you ever consider using the HO 262 and putting?
No, I didn't. I had some I had some drivers.
What's the
and
size of the drivers for that 262?
Yeah, I don't, no, I didn't. I don't know, because I wasn't into HO stuff. Because coming from large scale down, I wasn't that familiar with HO stuff, and what was available and, you know, what might work. So that's why I didn't come from that angle.
Okay. I just wondered because
so I went back afterwards, went back to my narrow gauge gazettes and kind of got back into the stuff that Gordon North did. You know, he was really a pioneer in the ON30 stuff, and kind of I built some stuff, some rail buses kind of after what things that he had done then.
well, Gordon used a lot of HO drive
Yeah,
units.
he did, but
And
at that
so-
time it just it didn't register, it didn't dawn on me.
Yeah. I would just, that's such a nice engine, that 262 from Argent.
Yeah.
You know, that,
So I think
know-
you'll be, as it develops, I think you'll be pretty impressed with the way it's turning out.
Yeah. We
I'm
tried to
pretty
get
thrilled.
we tried to get Bachman to produce that, and they didn't want any parts of that.
Yeah.
It wasn't a 30-inch. You know.
Yeah. Well, so my thought is yeah, it's ON30, but to me, it's I'm using it as ON3, as 36-inch gauge track.
Okay.
Partly because I belong to a club that we do a modular group, so the only way I could have done it is if I was, I had a layout of my own, and I wasn't in a position where I could have a layout of my own. So I was doing modular stuff, and that's why I stuck with the ON30.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
the locomotive is finished now, David?
No, it's not. It's running. It's almost, if you want to flip back on, I got it. I don't know if you can see it or not.
Yeah.
So there it is. It's just about ready to paint.
Tell us a little, well, I guess you'll tell us next week or whenever you're ready, how you're going to paint it and how you'll do that. Yeah. And what type of paint and blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, and I don't know if we'll get that far to actually show that much of it next week, because it got pretty involved to get to this point.
I'm sure. Well, that's great.
Let me put it this way, a lot more involved than I thought it was going to be, but I'm thrilled to death the way it's turning out.
That's terrific. It looks like nice details on there as well.
Thank you.
Thank you for presenting, and we look forward to the follow-up, see how that thing looks finished, painted. Whenever you're ready, we're ready.
Okay.
Okay, well, next up, we're going to run a video on our New Tracks Modular digital magazine. The August issue is out now, and I'm working on the September issue. And after that, well, go ahead.
Get more New Tracks modeling by reading the New Tracks Modeler magazine. Each edition of New Tracks Modeler includes exciting articles about modeling shown on the show, other modeling topics, and prototypical railroading information. Other articles focus on outstanding model railroaders and new products from a range of suppliers. Don't miss the photos of the popular New Tracks My Build. You can download New Tracks Modeler for free from the New Tracks Modeling website. Subscribe so you don't miss an issue.
I want to thank everyone that has contributed to the June, July, and August issues of New Track Modeler. And I encourage you, if you participate in New Tracks Live and you do a PowerPoint, to take the time to put just a few sentences on each one of your slides. It's my little secret here to do a one-man band on being the editor of this magazine is a heavy reliance on artificial intelligence, Chat GPT specifically. And I can load your PowerPoint up into chat. It'll pick up the text and create an article, which needs edited and approved by you, the author, and me, the editor. But it gives us a real jump start on converting these presentations into articles. And you don't need to be grammatically perfect. I've got a lot of engines that go through all this, and we're getting a phenomenal response to New Tracks Modeler digital magazine. People like it. We're up to 75 plus pages. We have more articles, more ads than Model Railroader, and I think better content. And like my dad said, it's not boasting if it's true. So thanks to you, the contributors, we've got a very nice magazine going for us, digital magazine. Well, next up, I'd like to do a tribute. 1 year ago, actually August 3rd, this week, a year ago, Judy passed away. And to those of us who knew him personally, he was the John Allen of ON30. One of the reasons we do remembrances is so that people don't forget about people that have made such a positive contribution to the hobby. So if you will indulge me, and for those of you that don't know him, this will serve as an introduction to one of the greatest model railroaders that I've ever known. Okay, so everybody see that? Yeah. This was Judy, August 3rd, 2024. Last year he passed away, and he was a very dynamic individual. It's a little thing that Ben Poole said last year. Basically, he was a friend to a lot of people and an icon in the model railroading community. He was a gifted artist, a gifted photographer, an outstanding modeler, and he was just a relentless advocate for the hobby. He started out in HO and then gravitated to ON30 on the introduction of Vauhgn locomotives to the marketplace roughly 20 years ago. He was our leader in our little segment here of ON30, a little niche within the hobby. And he's talked about constantly today in our little circle of ON30 modelers. He basically was a world-class modeler, and he enjoyed scenery, he claims, best of all, but he was really, in my opinion, nobody did locomotives like him. He kit bashed locomotives like nobody else, and he was a scratch builder as well. He's very fast modeler, do things very quickly, very thoroughly, and just a great modeler. And one thing that he did to promote the hobby is he created these train shows, this ON30 narrow gauge, narrow gauge show every June. And for years he had an O-scale 2-rail show, which has subsequently been canceled this fall. But as you'll see, the O narrow gauge show will continue. He was a gifted photographer. You know, one of the things that I liked about him and shared with him was the photographer's eye. We've had Mr. Brennan on to talk about how you frame how you do photography on model railroading, how you frame and compose a photograph. This is some of us, I guess it comes natural. It certainly became was natural to him. He had a great sense of composition, and we'll see some of his work a little later in the show, later in this program. He was a weathering expert. Like I say, nobody really modeled a locomotive like he did. He was in a league of his own. You could argue a fellow named Alan Littlefield is in the same sphere, but let's just say he was one of the top modelers of kit bashing these locomotives, making them come alive. He had a unique approach to building a layout. He didn't glue anything down. I differed with him on this. His ballast, a lot of his scenery, everything is loose. The advantage to that is if he wants to change a scene, can change it in an afternoon. Claims you didn't have to vacuum anything. He says because nothing was permanent. It's a unique concept. He has furnished layouts for several people. And they seem to like it. So it is an alternative construction, not for me. And he has numerous published articles. He was over the past 20 years, he's been in Model Railroader, Railroad Model Craftsman, the ON30 Annual, Short Line Gazette. I don't know his total number of magazines, but published articles in magazines, but there's a lot. Then of course, he's a great mentor and teacher. We'll get into that a little later. One of the things that I want to characterize him as is the John Allen of ON30 and always giving back to the hobby. I featured him in this structure. This is the second floor of a contest winner that I made last year. I featured him next to John Allen. He was alive when I did this. I made this for his 5x5 contest at the Harrisburg show last year. And he was ecstatic that he was in one of my models. I didn't know that 4 weeks later he would have passed on. Sort of interesting. These are the two shows that he's run them for years. The all Harrisburg all O scale meet, which initially moved from April to September, but has now been canceled. But the Harrisburg narrow O meet continues. We just had it this past June, and it will be run next year as well. He thought this up, and I've attended a lot of railroad shows in my lifetime, starting when I was basically a teenager or younger. And the most unique thing about this Harrisburg Narrow O summer meet is it's more like a family reunion than a train show. It's not cliquish. Everybody seems to encourage talking to complete strangers, inviting them into our little world here. This is really unique in the industry. When I attend a big show, for example, an NMRA show or the Great Train Show in Indianapolis every February, you don't get this feeling of like the gang is here again, like a family reunion. It really is. And he was in his element last June. He didn't know he had stage 4 cancer. These are pictures of him just wandering around, just in his element, happy as a lark, and totally unaware that he wouldn't be with us in 4 weeks. It was an international show last year, and was in part this year. Last year, we had people from 7 different countries. As far away as Australia, Germany, France, England, Canada. That doesn't count. They're like us. That was a little joke. But it was really nice, friendly atmosphere. Wasn't like most shows. And then a unique event is the on-site picnic. This is about a third of the people that attend. There's Al himself right there. So there's a little barbecue going, and it's very casual, very nice show. And then after the show, 2 or 3 of us would go to his home and have a little adult beverages afterwards, and just talk about model railroading, look at his railroad, which was exquisite. The red shirts is a little band of brothers that were put together to assist Al with these shows, and they are now perpetuating the legend. They ran this past June Narrow O show, and they plan on having the show next year as well. So his legacy will continue with the red shirts. Al Judy ran roughly 4 Facebook pages. I am now the administrator of all 4 of his pages. They total 40,000 members now. That onto itself is amazing. This last year, ON30 had 7.7 thousand members. We have that up to about 8,200 now. I didn't know until recently Al had the model railroading Facebook page, which covers all gauges. It was basically a ship running without a captain here for the better part of a year. And I asked his wife, Kathy, I said, I didn't realize Al was running the largest and created the largest model railroading Facebook page on the web. And that site has now we have about 30,000 members on there. That's just astounding. That's Al Judy. This was the 2025 show. It was well attended, and it will go on next year, 2026, approximately the same time. I want to talk a little about his workshop. My workshop always looks like a bomb went off in it. I'll clean it up after a project, but it quickly reverts to chaos. His workshop, every time I've been there, this is how he models. He's like the Felix Unger of workshops. Everything is neat, organized, all the way through the process. This was his style. It's not my style, it's his style. I mean, everything, I think it comes from, he actually ran a hobby shop. And of course, hobby shop has to be clean, neat, and everything parallel, perpendicular. I don't think that ever lost his direction. That's his layout in the background. All that ballast is loose. All that scenery is loose. All those turnouts, all that track work, nothing's glued down. He got away with it. I mentioned earlier that he had an eye for photography. He would do the sepia photography as well. There's only a couple of us that do this on the ON30 railroading page, maybe 3 or 4. It's really a realistic, really a nice look, especially with this world-class modeling that Al Judy did. I mean, doesn't that look like a scene from the past? I mean, modeling doesn't really get any better than that. Some of these are a combination of buildings that he has scratch built or kits that he has built, and sometimes he'll bring somebody else's structure on a layout. And that looks pretty realistic to me. Looks like a scene out of Western Pennsylvania or Eastern Pennsylvania, or West Virginia. Outstanding modeling. This photograph is by Judy. Another photo by Judy himself. That's loose ballast. It's a kit on the left. I actually know that particular kit. Everything else is scratch built. You'll notice the chains on this locomotive. We had a running joke in our little subsegment of Scael that Judy's chains that were draped on his locomotives would sometimes be oversized. So it's a little internal joke, a little ribbing that we'd give him on the chains. Those particular ones look like they're just fine, but now we switch to color. He loved to do scenery. I think that it's just my opinion, but I think he was Mr. Locomotive. Nobody did locomotives or structures like him. This one's purposely blurred to look like an old-time 70s color photograph. This is by Judy too. He wasn't afraid to change the color of a locomotive. He had some that were yellow, some that were red, some that were cinnamon colored. This is a sawmill that I popped his face in there. It looks as if you are actually standing in a working sawmill here. This is the quality of modeling did. Looks like you could actually run boards through this mill. His last railroad basically serviced this large lumber facility, this large mill.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah.
Go back about 2 pictures. I want to interject something here. One more. That locomotive right there was an early ON30 made by a guy named Hool, I think. I bought it from that guy. I held it for a long time and ran it on my railroad. And then I traded it to Al. Al was a big trader. He loved to trade for items. And one of the sidelines that he and I had were, I say, Al, I got something I think you'd really like. What do you got to trade? And he'd have a building or something like that, and we would work out equal value. And some of the stuff that you see on his shelves actually came from my layout to him. And some of the buildings on my layout came from him to me. And so that was just a thing that we had going on as a kind of personal thing. But that's the way that I stayed connected with him. And, I'll always have those memories when I see those buildings. Now, some of the buildings were just little small ones. And, I put on the bottom of them the date that I got it from him. It just happened to do that. And then my name under it. So when I go somewhere, and the buildings will go to somebody else, they'll know what the history of that building was. But that locomotive, he always wanted to straighten out that cab, and that's the way the original builder built it. And that's the way I got it. So that's just one of the things we would always have in common. We love to trade. Okay.
While we're looking at this photograph, let's just take a moment since we have some time this evening. See how the rails are rusted? The ballast is actually there's large rocks, there's regular ballast. There's two. I know his mix. It's basically two materials plus looks like there's a third in this one, but just there's debris on the side of this hill, trash can, just little things that make it very realistic. See the slight weathering on the cars? Just very well done. It's a, sorry. It's a modeling in subtleties. Again, look at the rusted rail, the weeds, the debris, it's just, and it's just a nice composition, Oops, sorry, this thing's a little sensitive. There's an up close of a locomotive featuring some chains and a little deck, and how realistic it looks with that ballast. Really looks narrow gauge. And then look in between these railroad ties here. Very nice modeling. This is an Al Judy photograph. Look at the composition here. You move from left to right. It's always one of my favorite photographs here. Look at the detail on the top of those refrigerator cars. There's a lot going on here. Nice composition. So photo that I took, when we'd have the show, and then in the after hours, after the show, 2 or 3 of us had come by to his home. He'd invite us into his home, and his wife, Kathy, would tolerate us. And first thing I do is run around and take photos of his locomotive structures and things. And then sometimes he'd have a nice little out his backyard. He called it the Shire. He'd set up chairs and we'd have a little bonfire and sit out there and talk about model railroading till 2 in the morning. It was a lot of fun. He was a very dynamic fellow. And the scratch built structure. We set up the scene here. This fella talking, locomotive coming out of the barn, quote unquote, cracked window here. Nice modeling. This is a kit. Look at all the stuff going on out around it. You can almost sense there's a conversation going on here. This guy carrying this box up here. Look at how that's painted in detail. That's beautiful work. Subtle weathering. Very nice. I always say this photo, it's one of my photos, but it looks like you could actually walk down that track. There's a combination of kits, scratch building. Al used to say he could tell from a photograph whose layout he was looking at. Everybody has a style and a feel to it. Well, Al definitely had a style and feel to his railroad. Just feels like you're in the photograph. You jump into the scene. His modeling was that good. Could almost hear the conversation. And with augmented AI, which we'll get into a little later in the year, can take a photograph like this, put it into AI. These guys will actually start walking around and you can script it. Just a little thing to come here on New Tracks. We're going to fool around with augmented AI a little bit. Add a little dimension to these things. Al acquired this crane because the guy couldn't rig it. So Al acquired it, finished it up, put the rigging on. Being from the mining industry, this is how you block a bucket. You don't put the bucket on the ground, you block it. These steam cranes were two-man operations. One guy ran the crane, one guy ran the steam engine. Of course, they were replaced probably in the late 1930s, late 30s by diesels. But there was a transition period where a lot of these were still floating around. Nice scene. Now, if anything could define Al, Judy, it was doing stuff like this. When we would find a locomotive that just won't run anymore and wasn't worth repairing, what Al would do was he'd make it a derelict here. And he even created a module called the Deadline, which featured about a half a dozen or more of these. But this is a defining scene for Al, Judy. He loved doing stuff like this. And I don't think anybody could do it any better than him. Really a neat scene. Look at the rust on the bottom of that locomotive, and in here, right where the rust would be down low. And then board holding the tarps on. The tarps are all tore up. It's just very nice scene. I was told by somebody that Al actually didn't. This was not Al's. He purchased this and integrated it into his layout. Nevertheless, it's very unique modeling here. Iron grate in the water, sluice, seldom modeled. I just thought it was a very neat photograph. This was the very last scene that Al, Judy made on his railroad before passing. He said that he was going to redo his whole layout, one section at a time. And he was switching to Pico ON30 track. He had used HO track on his layout for years and years. And then he was making the switch to Pico, which you can see here. This is a lumber mill camp. Some of his scenery work here. He said he liked scenery best of all. This is pretty high level scenery here. And these are all scratch built buildings, and a lot going on here. I think we owe it to ourselves to remember those guys that have made a significant contribution to the hobby. The John Allens of the world, the Alan McClellans. I mean, we can go on and on and on. And Al, Judy's in the same breath as these guys. One thing that we didn't talk about is we hit on a little bit of his ability to mentor people. He would answer, this came to light after his passing. He would text not 10 or 20 people a day, but in the hundreds. It was just crazy, his reach. He would take anybody's call, anybody's text, and he'd respond same day, same time. I remember I had a locomotive that was literally hopping down the track. I gave him a call and he picked up. I said, Al, I've got this mogul that's literally hopping down the track. What's going on there? He said, well, you got to crack gear. All right, so I took it apart. Sure enough, there was that cracked gear. I did a scene called McCoy's Camp, where I have an abandoned boxcar. And I texted him. I said, "Are these things made of?" Before I built the scratch build, I said, "What do you make what are these boxcars made out of? They make 1x6s, 2x6s, 1x8s, 2x8s." You know, he told me, well, most of them are 1x8s or 1x6s. But he took, the point is that he took my call or answered my text. He did this not with me, but hundreds of people. And I used to say his reach on Facebook was 20,000. It was actually 40,000. Imagine that. We get excited on New Tracks and we get 300 to 500 people look at a segment. He was basically, with his programs, reaching 40,000 model railroaders. That's a hell of an impact on the hobby. And that isn't strictly ON3 or ON30. That he formed the model railroading Facebook page. It's the largest model railroading Facebook page in Facebook and has 30,000 subscribers, members. That's simply amazing. So again, I hope you didn't mind indulging me on this, but we want to keep the memory alive. And yeah, so any comments or any stories anyone wants to share on Al?
I do have one thing I'd like to say. I did not know Al, Judy, but watching your presentation, I can see a lot of his stuff in your modeling. So
Yeah.
you can see where you learn from a master and you are now in the process of becoming the master.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. This allows me to get a great feeling of what people are talking about when they talk about Al Judy.
Thank you very much. And yeah, there are a lot of us who were touched by Al. The mentoring, which is what New Tracks modeling is all about. And Al just simply defined mentoring. He was always willing to help someone figure out something. One project that I had vamped Al into doing, but he passed, was I have all these Bachmann passenger cars that I wanted to remove the label and put on the rustic buff and old Gothic. And he and I were going to do that. I was going to drive. It's about a 8-9 hour drive from Bloomington, Indiana to Harrisburg. But I was going to bring my box of passenger cars and we were going to re-letter them. And he was going to assist me with that. So it's too bad that never came to be, but that's just one of the many things I'll remember him by. Anyway, I do want to thank Father Ron, by the way. Last year, Father Ron gave a little talk on how to deal with the passing of close friends, and specifically Al Judy, and how to deal with this. And it was just very beneficial to me at the time, and some of us, that he basically I don't know what the word is, but schooled us in how to deal with the passing of a close friend. And thank you, Father Ron, for that. So we have some time left, and for the record, David Vaughn was not supposed to be on this week. That was an error in my scheduling. David Vaughn is on for next week, so that's my error. And as a backup, what I'd like to do is invite our Steve Sherrill on, and we'd like to do what what would you like to talk about? We'd like to feature what's on your workbench, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Sherrill, Mr. Ad Hoc himself.
Well, thank you, Tom, for this big surprise. So tonight, I think I'm going to come up with something about what's new. What are we doing new? And, you know, we had the New Tracks magazine, and some of our people who are on the New Tracks tonight actually showed a new product. Now, Chris Corse, I know that you showed a powered flat car looking thing. Can you talk a little bit more about that kit? You know what kit I'm talking about? I see a little troubled face.
You're talking about one of the doodle bugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, those doodle bugs been up for a while. Let me see if I have pictures on the computer here.
Well, it was in the magazine this month.
Huh.
Let me see here. I'll call that up. While he's looking, I'll look.
Is it the blue one?
It's the one with the cab on it.
Okay. All right. Here's I found what you're talking about here.
And are you going to produce that in any other scale other than HO?
I hadn't planned on it. Yeah, you're talking about that dude right there.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's been, that was actually the first doodle bug I did. That's been out for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years now, I think.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Because it was in it was in the magazine this month, and I noticed it. I don't know. It was just that's just an interesting homemade looking piece of equipment.
I was trying to figure out what to do with the because I had some AHM GE 35-ton bodies that I figured they would convert to DCC very well, and if I could figure out how to use them, that would be a good platform. And so I came up with this. The big thing is that the cab hides the motor. So basically you take off the shell, and this is pretty much what you've got left. Let's see here. Let me see what else I have in this folder here. Now along with that, oh yeah, let's see here. Yeah, that was the only one that I have on this computer. On the other computer, I've got pictures of the snow bug that it's the same frame and just kind of a further development of that into a big, completely fictional snowplow. In fact, if you remember, I think it's called Silver City Models, the guy out of Pittsburgh.
Yes.
At one of Al's shows, I saw the snowplow that this guy did in, what is it, 018 Scael, or I think it was that he was working in. And I said, hey, can you make me one of these in HO? And sure enough, he came up with it, and it's a pretty neat plow. In fact, I'm thinking about putting it on a second kit at some point.
Well, how'd you come up with that model, though? I mean, it's just.
Well, so I selected the 35-ton because it's easy. It's an easy conversion to DCC. You can get them cheap. You can get them all over the place. You can find 100 of them at Timonium for all under like $20.
Yeah.
And then in terms of how I came up with that specific design, it was just kind of trial and error, see what works, what doesn't work, what looks good, what doesn't look good. On that one, I can't remember. I was going to I'm pretty sure I just wanted to make it a maintenance of way vehicle. But that came out pretty nice. I tried to use, if you notice on that same model, it's got these steps. So I had to make the door match up to the steps.
Mhm.
And so that's why I've got the arm there is to help you get up to the to the doorway. And then I had Dylan Lambert do me up some pilots. He did this pilot here. I think he also did the can't remember if he did the bell or not, but he also did the headlight on it. So I was this one was one of the early ones. It's just kind of trial and error, see what worked, what didn't work.
Yeah.
And that's where we have it. It's and the one behind it was pretty much the same thing. It's a Bachmann 44 ton, and that too was I was trying to come up with something. I wanted to put the what do you call it, the clear story on top, and so I just kind of played around because I didn't want to make something that was going to be difficult that you had to like sand the roof to get it just right.
Mhm.
So
What's
so I
the
played around
price
with
of that? What's the price of 35 there? That model?
Oh, you would ask.
No.
Let's see here. I'll have to go see if I can find it. I don't think it's very expensive, but you bottom line is you provide your own mechanism.
Yeah. We use that a lot in ON30, that mechanism, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the reasons I chose it is it's got a lot of different uses.
Yeah.
They're readily available, they're cheap. I want to say that's around $40 for that kit. I'm just guessing because I've got a ton of kits. I can't keep track of what they all cost.
I've
It's
got your
crazy.
site up. It's 45 for the Doodle Bug, 77 for the Box Bug.
Okay.
Snow Beast is 56, and the Pax Bug is 85.
All righty. Well, thank you, Father Ron.
You get that from higher authority?
Yeah. Yes. Yes, indeed.
Father Ron, why didn't you put a 20% discount on everything for higher authority?
I think Chris would be upset with me if I did.
Hey, if it gets them all sold, I don't care. Just go right ahead.
One of the other things that I know that is new and coming out from one of our sponsors here, Carroll Creek, is GN15. And I don't know how much is known about GN15, but it's obviously G-Scael, and it's on HO track, HO width track, and it's being 3D printed. And Bob, if you want to give us a little talk on that. I tried to get in touch with Ryan, but he was on the road and couldn't give us any additional information. So if you could just fill in a little bit.
Yeah, Ryan has helped us to dabble in a number of different scales, but he came up with the idea that we might want to try the GN15, and he took some of the ON18 models that we built, namely the diesels, and scaled them up to get to the GN15. And I don't have all the data on it because Ryan's really been running with this, but I think it was like scaled up by about 182%. That's roughly what the size is. And I was surprised how well the model scaled up and then printed. Most of the detail is there, and we've actually talked about doing the same thing with the that was the end cab and the center cab diesels, and doing the very same thing with the porters and the shays. But he found a nice mechanism that will run on the HO track or the ON30 track, and he's going to have a couple of them, I think, up at the meet up at East Broadtop in a couple of weeks.
And also a timonium. Aren't you going to have that at timonium
Yeah,
also?
we'll have them at timonium. Hopefully they'll be a little more fleshed out by the timonium time frame and any bugs that we have, ironed out. But the problem with going to like a GN15 size is it takes so long to print these things. Where we were able to do the ON18 in an hour or a couple of hours, the GN15 could take 10 hours to print. So all of a sudden, the cost becomes a factor.
But you've come out with a new box car, haven't you?
Yeah, Ryan did an ON30 boxcar that I really liked, but I wasn't crazy about the siding. So I took his basic model and stripped off some of the hardware and then didn't cast it, but I've re-engineered the siding so it's vertical siding, along with the wood siding for the top. And so we're working on that. This was one of the original models. If you can see this, that it's going to fade in and out because of my background, but that's not going to work at all. But anyway, yeah, we are working on box cars, and we'll definitely have some of those to show up at the East Broad Top or Maple. Is it Mapleton? Is that the location of that meet? But and there'll be some variations on it so that we can have either vertical siding or straight wood horizontal siding. The doors might be a little bit different. There might be a box car with doors closed, another one box car doors open. So we're playing with those variations.
Anybody else have anything new that they've got on their workbench that they want to talk about?
Hey, Steve, this is Phil. So I'll show you a few pictures of a control panel system I'm building for my layout. So here, let me see if I can get that up. You guys see that?
Yeah.
So what I'm doing is I'm basically taking modules. Hang on, I'm getting some feedback here. Let me see who.
Just mute everybody.
Yeah, mute Bob there. That was so. What I'm doing is I'm taking modules that I built, actually using 4 modules, then combining them with fixed built-in-place modules. So what you see in the background there are 2 of the fixed-in-place modules. The one on the left is a corner module. The one on the right is a fairly large 4x8 foot module. Module is probably not the right word. That's actually mounted to the wall and completed there. What I decided to do was build a control system that actually is in a separate cabinet. It's on horizontal rollers. In other words, they don't rotate. They just roll one direction. That are underneath it. So it rolls in underneath the cabinet there. And when it gets in there, there's only about a 1/4 inch gap between the wood on the fascia on the control pump module and the actual wood in the background. So what's interesting about this is that all of the accoutrements on this are actually 3D printed. So the hinges are 3D printed, the door handles or door pulls are 3D printed, the side pulls there to move it in and out are, and then all the control panels are. I find that filament 3D printing is just wonderful for printing things. I actually printed 4 hinges here for significantly less than the gas it would have cost me to drive to go pick them up at the hardware store. And those are just 3D printed with a piece of coat hanger down the center as a flex point, and they work great. In fact, when I was putting this together, one of the flex pins fell out and the other hinge held the door fine just by itself. So very, very simple and interesting, easy way to build things to support your layout. So from a control perspective, what I've got is 3 separate pieces in here. On the right is the DCC system. In the center is lighting. So I've got 4 lighting circuits. I put 12 volt DC lighting on the ceiling using LED lamps. I have 2 2.7K circuits. So those are essentially what you would think is soft white. A 6K daylight circuit that actually is actually set up so it angles slightly differently. And then I built enclosures with gels for blue night lights. So each one of those has an on-off and also has a dimmer for them. And in the center, I've got a master power on and off switch. And there's there's a resistor for dimming the panel light. So you see those in a second. And then on the left, this end area that you see, the corner on the left, and that's actually the circuit diagram for that. And that's all going to be set up with push buttons. One of the nice things, I built the cabinet deep enough to handle 4 tubs that I bought at Costco for storage. And that gave me this great area on the top to put all of my wiring. So what I've done is done all the wiring. So for example, on the left, you see the switching, that's all with switches. What I've got is basically 5 bus bars there. That's for the plus and minus 12 volts in common for the power to the switches. And then the other wire there is the DCC power to power the switches. In the center, you see the lighting, and that actually runs out. Those white cables all run out to the lighting, 16 gauge for the lighting circuits and 12 gauge for the common drains coming back. And then on the right is the DCC system, which is what I'm kind of working on today. What I've done is I've mounted on the back power supplies. I'm using plus and minus 12 volts. So you can use a single pole relay to throw high power to a turnout and all the LEDs. The switches just don't have enough power to drive multiple LEDs and multiple turnout motors. And then what I'm doing is I'm basically for all of the turnout wiring, and I have a separate control panel that looks just like this that's on the other side of the modules, because you have to be able to control it from 2 locations that, though they're only about 8 feet away, to get between them you have to walk about 30 feet. I'm using Cat 5 wiring, so I bought a fairly inexpensive Cat 5 panel off of the internet, and you just plug the wires in, and then you can see the wires running to the lighting there coming out the back of the panel. So this is kind of the state of the control panel right now. You can see it's kind of designed so it's tilted back a little bit. It's illuminated. I use 2 color to color the track diagram on the background. And then you see the 2 current turnouts on the back. The LEDs come out really bright in a photograph. They're not nearly as bright when you're in person. On the DCC side, this is the DCC power system looking in from the outside. In the bottom, what it has is I'm using a power cab from NCE, very inexpensive for a basic DCC control system. And then I have a single ramp meter. And what I've done is I've set up a board then to power the layout. This has 2 Tam Valley, there are 3/5 amp boosters on it. Those run off of DCC power, and they actually power the track. So I've got 2 districts powered that way. And then what I'm doing is using these relays to send one of them through the ramp meter. So these 2 relays select which booster goes to the ramp meter, and these 4 2x2 select whether the ramp meter output or the direct booster output gets fed to the tracks. One of the nice things about doing this is that you keep all the wiring kind of in the back where you don't see it. A smaller view, lots of complex wiring in the back. Wrote on there what everything was so I could remember it. And so this is kind of a view of what it's going to look like when I get the control system installed. I have to build the enclosure that it goes in. But basically, it gives me a great way to control the system, be able to see what the power is to either one of the two districts, and be able to control everything from one point and roll it in and out of the layout to service it.
Phil, did you do all the labeling?
Yeah, it's all 3. It's all. I'm sorry, I didn't spotlight myself, but that's okay. Yeah, it's actually all 3D printed. So like when you look at this picture here, the way this is done is I use FreeCAD, but most of the 3D, most of the CAD programs you can add text. So what I've done is I've added text here on top of this flat space, and the text is typically about half a millimeter to 0.6 millimeters tall. And what I do, I went through this in that little video I did last week about the 3D printing. What I do is I pause the printing after it prints the first layer of the text, and then change the color that I'm printing from silver to black. So the rest of it prints in black. And you notice I forgot to put the voltage and current in when I made this. So I just made that up as a little separate panel I glued on there. But yeah, it works out pretty well.
You have to see that's raised.
Yep. Yeah, Yeah, in fact, if you look at this one here, you can see this is, go back through here. When you see it, you can see it even more there, how it's raised. If you see kind of the angle there, it's, you know, how tall is, they basically just stand off of, you know, and all of these, you just lay them out in the CAD program. And this is obviously printed as two pieces. You can see it's joined together in the middle.
Yeah.
And that lets me do a panel that's bigger than what I can print on my printer. You know, and the same thing actually, if you look at this one here, this is actually 3 prints. This is a print, the center section is a print, and this is a print. And what I do is I use alignment pins that I mold into the plastic, into the 3D print with a piece of wire, and then just epoxy them together.
Hey, Phil, this is Tom.
Yeah,
One of the innovations, go back to that photo a sec.
sure.
A subtle innovation here for people is that left panel, for example, is recessed and angled. It's very subtle, and he didn't point it out, but it differs from mine, for example, which sticks out and I run my elbow and arm into it all the time.
Yep.
This is very, I mean, it's
Well,
it's clever.
Yeah. And that's why, by the way, I didn't put just standard handles on the doors. The same thing. I put these in. These are actually molded where you just stick your finger in here and you can pull the door open. The door has just standard magnetic catches. But what I didn't want was something where people, when they walk by, would be hitting their knees on it. So trying to keep things as flat as I could.
You'll see when you visit my layout next month, you'll see where I'll need your help to make me a replacement panel that I won't run my arm into all the time. That's a subtle little thing, but it's a big deal, you know, especially if you have lots of people visiting your layout, you know, you'll minimize the accidents.
Exactly. Anyway, that was it, Steve. I thought that might be it. And by the way, at some point I'll try to do more of a detailed clinic about how I did this stuff if there's interest.
Very interesting. Bob Gelmacher, you got now you've got that boxcar you can show us, right? You got a good background. Bob? Yeah, there it is. That's gonna be, that's 0-18. No, it's 0-30, right, Bob?
And Bob, you're muted, by the way.
Bottom left, Bob. On a little speakerphone.
By the way, while Bob's trying to find his unmute,
Oh, there we go.
One of the things you'll find is one of the things Zoom lets you do is allow the host to unmute you. And that's a great feature to turn on. That way I can do it for you. You don't have to try to find it.
Yeah. Anyway, what I was saying, this was the original boxcar, the vertical side, and if we can get it in focus here. But we printed this in 4 different sections, and then we braced the ends. And then this is kind of what the final product is going to look like. This is the open door side, and then this is the closed door side, but it has undercarriage details. And, you know, we're just playing with variations on the theme right now.
What scale is that?
This is 0-30.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. So it needs additional details like the brake wheels and, of course, the trucks and the couplers. But I'm happy with the way this is coming along.
Are you going to be selling that?
Say again?
Are you going to sell it?
Yes.
What company?
Carroll Creek Design.
Carroll Creek? Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm an 0-30 also. That's why I was asking.
Yeah. And but we'll be happy to sell them to you. But thanks for letting me show those.
You're going to sell them both as a ready to run, aren't you? That's a plan.
Yeah. Right now they're like in a kit form, but I think a lot of modelers like the ready to run version just because they can take it out. They might have to paint it if they want to paint it, but put it right on a track. But yeah, I think we're going to do ready to run.
Sounds good.
Wow, that's good. Anybody else have anything?
Yeah, Stu here. Tom, a number of weeks ago, did a great talk on making the railway, the track area look better and painting all the rails. And one of the things that got me excited to do is I've started painting all my rails. I am 3-rail. And in the picture that you can see here, he also talked about dirting up the center between the tracks to make it look like oil.
Yeah.
And what I found is when I did that, it helps to, you don't see the black center rail as much with the, with all the darkened area there. So that was a really nice thing that I got to learn from Tom. I'm also adding, instead of just flat, thin greenery, I'm adding more height and texture to it.
Yeah, variety is the word when you do anything in model railroading. Yeah.
And adding, more dirt in there. So this is all stuff that I've actually gained from following you guys. So thank you very much, Tom, and everybody else.
If you mix the colors and put it in a blender, you get a really nice look.
Yeah.
I think we all learned things from the show. I just received my sound units. Jeff Jordan did a presentation approximately a month ago on downloadable sound modules, and they're offered online from Walmart of all people. Mine just arrived, and I'm going to feature them in a coal tipple mining operation that I'm working on. I still can't believe Steve, Cheryl, and I had a conversation prior to the show this afternoon. I can't believe how inexpensive these electronic devices are today, whether they be sound units, throttles, volt amp meters. It's like they practically give this stuff away. It's crazy. But I'm happy.
Yeah, Tom, that's a great point. So one of the things that I didn't point out in that is there was a silver electrical box in that panel, and inside of it is it's basically a 12-volt latching relay, and I bought 2 of them for $99. So it's powered by 12 volts. You have to power it, but then what it's got is it's got a push button circuit where you can connect a push button, and you push the push button, it turns the relay on. Push the push button again, it turns it off. The relay is capable of 10 amps at 110 volts. So you can control just about anything for $5. And those other relays, the ones that are just the basic relays, they're about $1.20 each. So it's really relays let you do really interesting things in a model railroad.
I think at some point, Phil, you should talk about, maybe not this evening because we're about out of time, but I believe you have a circuit that prevents running into a turnout the wrong way on a DCC. Is that correct? Is that you?
Yeah, that's not me. That's actually a Wabbit. There's a DCC Specialties they call them Wabbits and Hares. And it's basically a DCC control for a turnout. One's one and one's 2 turnouts. And what they do is they have a separate little circuit where you cut a rail on the frog side. You basically isolate your frog, and then you cut another piece of rail beyond that, connect it up to their circuit. And if a train is coming into the turnout and the turnout is thrown the wrong way, it will automatically throw the turnout the right way.
I think
it's pretty cool technology.
That'd be worthwhile exploring some of these things.
Cool electronics. That would be Steve, that would probably be a neat segment in the future. Just have people talk about cool electronic circuits they've run across.
Yes. Yeah, that's for sure.
Who has that circuitry?
It's
that one is part of DCC Specialties. They call them Wabbits. WABBIT. If you just do DCC Specialties Wabbit and do a Google search, you'll find them.
Because I use those frog juicers too. There's
the frog juicer, the same. So it's the same principle as the frog juicer, right? When the wheels go over the gap between the 2 things that are out of phase in DCC, it actually creates a short circuit. But the circuit board is so fast in detecting that short circuit, it switches before the booster or the engine actually sees it. I mean, they're shifting in microseconds.
Yeah.
So it's incredibly fast. It's the same concept. And by the way, it's the same concept for auto reversers. Auto reversers can work the same way. If you buy a PSR-AX, which is the circuit breaker with an auto reverser that you put on a loop track, it does the same thing. When the engine comes around and hits the gap, it's actually shorts, but it figures out it's shorted so fast that it flips the circuit and then it throws the turnout. We have those on the loops on our modular group. So if you have a loop on your railroad, it's a great way to manage, any loops or loop tracks.
They also have one out called the frog juicer.
Yeah, so I was just talking about. I think I might invite, I'm going to contact DCC Specialty, see if I can get their proprietor on, and maybe he could do a little 30-minute segment on these products, because they're absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, them in Tam Valley. Like I said, the Tam Valley boosters that I bought, that I showed you, those are a 3 5-amp booster. So it's 3 amps continuous, 5 amps peak, and they're $50.
Yeah.
And what you do, so what I've done is I feed the power out from my power cab, and that feeds both of those little boosters, and the boosters feed the track. The power cab just feeds the boosters and the turnout switches from NCE. And if you look at the total cost for a really good, including circuit breakers, 2-district 10-amp power system, the total cost is about $270. So it's a really very reasonable.
To go investigate Tam Valley and DCC Specialties, and maybe even Digitrax, and I think it'd be interesting to do this on a periodic basis. Yeah.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah.
Thomas Bob Geldmacher. I want to put a word into for Kevin Hunter and Barrett Hill Trains with his touch toggles.
Yeah, I use them.
He's got a lot of, I know since the last time he was on the show, he's come up with a lot of other and unique circuitry.
Yeah.
And if he's willing to come on, it might be a good idea to get him to review some of the stuff that he's got, because I think it plays right into the types of things that Phil's been talking about.
Yeah, he's a good one. I personally know him, and he's been on the show before.
Yeah, I know Kevin real well.
Been a couple of years.
Touch toggles got some good stuff.
Yeah, I use them on my layout. Yeah, I'll have to. I'll get in touch with him. He's another one. Okay, folks, I think we've run the course for this evening here. I'd like to have unless there's something else, Mr. Sherrill, do you want to keep going, or do you want to wind this up?
Well, I've found my electronics really with PWM controllers. And that took me to a site that had all kinds of electronic stuff, including those controllers we talked about last week.
What's the name?
And that would be just a start, But I went on Google and got on that. So, there's other things other sites you can look up. I don't know if we want to mention a couple.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, that's the only one that I know of. That got me where I needed to go.
What was the name of it again?
When I just went and on Googled PWM controllers, and it gave me all the companies that had the PWM controllers. Had Rio brand, and it had like 40 different columns that you went to, and they'd have different ratings on different products, all kinds of digital printouts, possibilities, just stuff that I didn't understand. But Phil probably knows some to get on, or Bob Geldmacher,
Well, the other one that makes a lot of model railroading circuits is Azatrax. That's another company that's good.
Phil?
Azatrax, Azatrax, I think. Azatrax.
Okay.
I've used their crossing signal circuits. They're pretty nice.
Let's formalize this and do a presentation. Maybe we'll have a couple of you make contributions, and we'll get. I think there's an interest here, and I think it'd be useful information to everybody.
That's about all I have tonight, Tom. Other than look at New Tracks, the magazine. There's a lot of advertising in the back of it, we need to support those people advertising in the magazine.
Yes. A word on that, by the way. This is the, you guys all see that? Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
There's a site to, if you go to www.magazine.newtracksmodeling.com, you'll get all three magazines that are out right now. So if I backtrack this a moment, just bear with me.
What was the address again? New Tracks Modeling.
It's magazine, www.magazine.newtracksmodeling.com. See the three magazines that are out so far? This is June, July, and August. And if everybody see that? So there's the latest magazine, right?
They don't have paper call it or copy, right?
Yeah, you can download it. It's
Yeah,
70.
but I mean, there's not a paper copy that's only
No,
electronic.
it's all digital. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is the latest magazine here. This is the content. So we've got regular schedules, these are the featured articles from our participants typically in the, so this month, for example, I was just talking about this, integrating mini recordable sound devices. Mine arrived today. That was solely from New Tracks Modeling. I didn't even know about them. Jeff Jordan introduced them. Our very own Phil Edholm, part 3 of his series. He's got the final series coming up. This diorama fella, Nick Callis, Dan Rousseau, Matt Woods, world-class modelers here. And the magazine, like I say, is it's an interesting article. I don't know if you guys have read this, The Elephant in the Train Room. Article I wrote. Something on our mentor scholarship. What do you guys think of this magazine? I mean, I pour my heart and soul into this damn thing. You know, it's New Tracks Mentoring Scholarship. These are our 4 winners, recipients.
I like it a lot, Tom. I think you're doing a great job with it. And that magazine is just below 80 pages. So
Yeah.
we're right up there with the big boys as far as magazine content. You know,
I think we have the same or better look. We've got our own Pat Rivard here.
That's right. We do.
And little ad or article, scratch building from me. I don't know if is everybody reading this that's on the show this evening?
Yes.
I haven't yet, but I'm fairly new to New Tracks, so you know I'm still learning it.
It's a very good magazine. I think it's been well done.
And I'm going to be using this myself. I mean, I didn't know anything about this till Jeff presented it. It's all laid out how to do it. I ordered this just like this. I mean, it's so cheap, $9.41. I mean, unbelievable. You know,
Like all my DCC stuff, I'm going to be selling all my frog juicers and stuff like that. I'm going to be selling them.
Well,
I've got a lot of brand new stuff.
Dead rail. All right, give me a buzz.
Yeah, I'm going dead rail.
Yeah. So, but sound is universal. Something like this, doesn't matter whether you're dead rail or not, sound can be added to your layout very easily here. And
yeah, I'll be putting sound in different parts of the railroad and stuff.
Here's Phil's article, which has some unique things on interiors, how to do interiors, and how to Very nice content in this. It's one of our supporters, Locofi. Greg Cassidy, who couldn't make it this evening, featured in our My Build ad here. Oh, by the way, so this isn't just the Tom Farrell show and Tom Farrell magazine. High quality images like this, if you can submit them, I think everybody has my email. It's sprinkled everywhere. If you want to be featured in one of our ads, our New Tracks ads, I just need very high quality photographs like this. And like Greg Cassidy, I featured this in our ad. I like to change these ads every couple of months. And but I got to have that quality of photographs. So everything you should do. Here's Brennan's sponsor of the show, his new Garfield electric substation. There's a discount right now if you, if you go online to brennan'smodelrailroad.com, brennan'smodelrr.com, and you enter the New Tracks NEWTRX code, you'll get $20 off. I'll be featuring this next week in a Watch Me Build. It was supposed to be this evening, but I forgot about Al Judy, and I wanted to do that while it was the week that he had passed. Dan Rousseau, friend of mine. This is an example of taking his PowerPoint and asking ChatGPT to create an article based on his PowerPoint. Now, it's not perfect, but it surely gives, I mean, this article is perfect because I massage it, but I'm saying it gives you such a jump start on an article. So I encourage you, if you do a presentation on New Tracks Live, put some text in there that chat can pick up. See how nice quality photographs like that. That's crucial. So take the time to put in a background like that. Here's an example, the New Tracks website. I need this quality photograph. I'll be happy to feature you guys in these ads if you want a little PR. Here's Matt Woods. I took his presentation, turned it into an article. For those who are advertising, I put this ad in gratis because I was supposed to do a product review of this. He got so much response out of this that he's now a full-time advertiser in our magazine. He's gonna pay for ads for 1 year now. That's how effective we reach. We believe 10,000 people with this magazine. He said he personally thanked me for all the phone calls he got off of this ad. So advertising works. This link turns you into all the model railroad shows and conferences out there. Prototype events. This is the East Broad Top. We got this fellow Gene Tucker. He periodically gives us an update. And here's the ads. These are free ads right now. Full page ads you have to pay for. These little ads that I create on behalf, gratis for these folks, is basically a hook that if they're successful, maybe we'll go to full page ads.
Wish Tam Valley had phone numbers.
Well, they're all free ads here. Every month I'm adding 8 is my little game. I add 1 page of ads every month. It's my little thing. So I have to create all these ads. There's touch toggles. And then these are the New Track Mentor modelers, people that have participated in the show. Then a list of our advertisers. So the magazine keeps getting better and better, thanks to you guys and your contributions.
Looks good.
All right, well, it's 9 o'clock. I'd like to close the show. I'd like to feature our traditional close is Father Ron. If we could spotlight Father Ron.
Creator of the world, as modelers and makers, we recognize the beauty of our world. We thank you for the vision and artistry that you have given us. Continue to bless us with your creative spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Father Ron, and thank you again for the a year ago. To me, anyway, and certainly others, how moving it was, your talk on dealing with the passing of Al Judy. Something that I will remember basically permanently. It was very moving for me. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And now, Phil, if you would run one of our cabooses from your Detroit NMRA visit.
Yeah, Tom. So this one, so we have about 10, like I said, talked earlier, we have about 10 of these left. One of the things I would love is any feedback from folks about what they like and don't like. We will be going to the narrow gauge convention and try to do some at the narrow gauge convention. This one's most interesting because it features the world's only model railroading wonkavator. So I think you'll find this to be a fairly interesting layout tour. And this is that system where you can put a ship moving on your layout with waves and everything using a TV screen.
Now, let me explain what you're looking at. And it's been damaged from being used so many times today. I hit the bridge and knocked it over on it. Here's the problem. That's a flipper. One track, one level works fine. But if you have multiple levels, you can't do it. The geometry doesn't work. And I have 3 levels crossing the aisle here. So one day I'm watching the movie Willy Wonka with the Chocolate Factory, and Gene Wilder is talking to a kid at the end where the kid gets on the elevator with him, and the kid says, "This is a neat elevator." And Wonka says, "It's not an elevator. An elevator only goes up and down. This goes up and down, forward, back, right, and left. That's the Wonkavator." And I'm thinking, that's the solution to my problem. I just need to build a Wonkavator. How the hell do you build a Wonkavator? And that's what you're seeing here. So the way this thing works is it will drop down and then pneumatically retract into the bench rail. So I'm clear and I've got nothing else. It's a very deep alignment. I've actually broken the bridge where we're used to it. But I'll give you a sense of it. So if you're ready.
I'm ready whenever you are.
I'm going to roll it down. Again, the bridge may catch and get out of the way. Straight down and then pneumatically retracts into the bench rail. That's the world's only model railroad block.
thank you, Phil, for producing the show and for taking those videos. Thank you all the participants this evening, and we will see you next week. And have a good evening.